Welcome to the 49th annual meeting, by the way. I was thinking about what am I going to say today. I figured out, hey, here we go again. 49 years ago, I was 22 years old. I'm now 71. Something happened between then and now. I just can't remember what. I was trying to imagine what life was like here in Oakmont 49 years ago. We've come a long, long way, but I doubt there's anyone left from that time, but there may be one or two, but I doubt it. Maybe about, 102 years old. Anybody know of anyone that was around 49 years ago here? I didn't think so. I didn't think that they'd be well represented, except in spirit. I think I missed something. Oh, yes. I don't know anything about the first annual meeting. I suspect it was rather brief. They just taken over from Berger and trying to put their lives together on their own. Over the years, some of these meetings have been long, drawn-out, boring affairs, and others were probably pretty short. So I'm going to ask a question. How many of you sitting here today would prefer a short meeting? I see your hand. That's good, because that's all I prepared for. We're not going to have slideshows and dancing girls and wine and all that stuff. So let's get started. Call the meeting to order officially, and we start out with a credentials report. Remember, this is not a board meeting per se, it is an annual membership meeting, so it is as much as your meeting as it is ours. We start out with the credentials report, looking for Nancy Aldwell. There she is in the back, again, always serving well. Do we have a quorum?
Yes, Mr. President, we do have a quorum.
If anyone didn't hear that, yes, we do have a quorum. I missed something important that I've been trying to remember to do. Is there anybody who's having trouble hearing me? The wiggle your fingers sign is the, okay, we're in good shape there. We're trying to improve that. And also in our procedure of microphone and repeating questions when they're asked for, so that other people who couldn't hear the question can kind of match up the answer with something that makes sense. We go on to our unfinished business section. A report from the nominating committee. And who is representing them today? Brian, are you here? Pat? Well, thank you anyway. On the committee. We have Brian Adams head of the committee. We have Pat Amadeo, Tony Lamarca, Barbara Lynch, Paul Hendrick, and Kathleen Connolly as our consultant from over the years. Oh, yeah. You want to do it? You're in. Tag, you're in. Go ahead, the microphone's yours. Yes, I was going to do it. Yes.
Hi, I'm Kathleen Conley. I was a consultant to the nominating committee, and unfortunately there's no other members here. We do have a slate of officers elect, and we came up with our 6 candidates, who are John Felton, the current president of the board, and Jane Georgie, Lisa Berman, Ilke Strunka, and Frank Batchelor, and Herm Herman. Thank you, everybody, for running.
Thanks for working so hard to get candidates. That's a big job. Generally, there isn't a long waiting list, but if you're interested and want to be sure to get in the line, sign up now for next year. Do we have any nominations from the floor at this time? Hearing none, I'd like a motion to close nominations. So I hear. We have a motion and where's the second? Back here. Okay, did you get that? Thank you. All in favor? Opposed? I didn't think so. Nominations are now officially closed. We have a couple visitors today. James Ernst, our CPA, up here in the front, and he'll be speaking to us in a few minutes regarding the auditor's report. And also Malcolm Manuel, who's been our attorney for, I believe, over 30 years. You started when you were 15, right? Now it takes us to my report. One of the things I'd like to emphasize as we get started here today is that we've gotten a lot accomplished in this past year. A lot of things. And it's not due to any one individual. It's because we've been working very hard on two things. One is team effort. The board of directors and the staff have been working very well together to keep things moving. A lot of moving pieces behind the scenes, constant juggling of schedules, last-minute trips to the city for permits, lots of meetings, many things go on behind the scenes. And I think the second thing that's really helped in the background, well, there's two parts. One of them is communications. We work very hard to communicate what we're doing on a regular basis, and that ties into transparency, so that you can develop trust in what we're doing and know that we're doing our very best to serve the community. Let's take a look at what's been accomplished in this year. Our West Rec Center is essentially open. You'll be invited to attend an open house tomorrow, and at the same time as at the West upstairs, the balloting will be going on. So, yes, at 2 o'clock. But at 12 o'clock, you can come and visit, and Nancy will talk about that a little bit earlier. If you come early, you might even get a little tiny sandwich. She taught me a very fancy French word for little tiny sandwiches, but I don't remember what it was. She'll take care of it. I did ask her to spell it, and sometimes that helps me. It started with an L, but, pardon me? A lavage. Okay. Well, come tomorrow to find out what they are. But come early, because if we run out, it's your fault. We started in the West Rec. Long overdue project. A lot of things have been done over the years in the background. Plans developed and set aside and delayed, redone, rethought. Anyway, I'm proud to say that it's done. We just going to be working on the swimming pool and the decking outside, but the building has a temporary certificate of occupancy from the city of Santa Rosa. So we're going to start using it tomorrow. And I think you're very impressed with the way things turned out. When we went into that project, we knew we were looking at an old building, and we really didn't have a clue what was behind the stucco. We were prepared for some very serious problems that we'd have to be fixed. We got pretty lucky, aside from a few sheets of plywood that needed to be replaced, some plumbing and some electrical work and this and that. There were no huge surprises, except for one little thing. The city of Santa Rosa said, I got a great plan, but upstairs is no longer ADA compliant, so you have to redo your kitchen and both of the bathrooms. And that didn't come without additional expense. But I think in the long run, we come up with a building that's going to be good for at least another 40 years, and you're going to like it. We found some crazy stuff, like just learned yesterday, one of the roof drains wasn't draining. Now we thought that had been checked, went back over it, and I was told that the reason it wouldn't drain was because it was clogged up with tar from the last time the roof was built. you can kind of imagine how long that's been like that. And I've got, I don't know if he's here today. Yes, Rick Albert, our new facilities manager in the back, has done an outstanding job. And it's been here 3 weeks now?
About a month.
A month. See, I'm already behind. He's come up with stuff that's should have been fixed a long time ago, and he's really on top of things, a professional, and you're going to enjoy dealing with him. He's a great guy, and he really knows his business. Let's move over and talk a little bit about the next project, which is going to start at the end of this month, is the central pool equipment room. Without going into great detail, I can say this. The chlorine and electrical wiring and pipes don't get along. And over the years, the wiring has become a hazard, and we recently realized that the gas line that feeds all the heaters for the pool and such is severely corroded, and in case it could fail at any time. So that's number one top priority, and we're going to be hitting that here in just another few weeks. Back to the west, you've noticed that the old junk on top of the roof of the cabana has been torn off. We were going to replace the roof, we still are, but when we tore it off, we found out underneath it, all the wood was rotten at the valleys at the bottom of each one of those kind of notches. So we're in the process of fixing that. I love Rick's comment. He's a real down-to-earth guy, and he comes up with great sayings. When he was talking about that building, about what we found, he says, I think it's snake pit. The new switchgear and the transformer you can see out here has been installed, and I've requested the Landscape Improvement Committee to come up with some way to beautify it a little bit, but pretty much it is what it is. That project was well over a year in getting done, and I've got to say, I can tell what you're thinking out here is, why does this take so long to get stuff done around here? You know, why isn't it done months ago? Now, I empathize with you. It's kind of frustrating sometimes, but there are all kinds of permits and other processes to go through. And believe it or not, we do the best we can to get things done quickly. Other things that are going on, lawn bowling people are probably really happy. We have a new, I'm going to give you a new word here, a plinth. I didn't know what a plinth was, so I looked it up, and it said it's the base under a statue. I said, oh, what's it got to do with lawn bowling? But that's just what they call it. Anyway, we have a new plinth, and that whole thing's been redone. Bocce ball this last year, the courts have been redone. We ran into a problem just recently with a community garden water. What kind of problem? Well, we got cut off. Brad Benson had been very kind over a long time. Just the garden wouldn't allow us to use water from his meter that was adjacent to the garden. What we didn't know was the city frowns upon that. In fact, they said you can't do that. So when he started to build a little building down there, the city says, what's this? You guys are off. Now, we always paid for our water, but we didn't have a source anymore. So within a month, I stopped putting deadlines on things because they get nailed for it. But they're going to be digging under the street, and they'll have water to the garden. The east building, the East Rec Center, been all repainted. It looks terrific. We found a number of issues with rotten wood again there, and some of them that supports the lighting. There are new bollards, new lighting sources throughout Oakmont have been upgraded to light-emitting diode types. They cost a little more initially, but you operate about 1/10 of the power of a conventional lamp. Last year, Nancy Caldwell asked that the workshops be taped as meeting is being done today. We hadn't done that, and I'm proud to say that We got that accomplished. In fact, much earlier in 2014, we started that project. So the reason I know about that, I was looking at the video from last year, so I didn't mess up too much. And I came up with Nancy's smiling face standing up asking for that, and it has been done. We have new office hours, some changes in staff, and improvements in staff, both in numbers and in abilities. We're going to move into a new office space, finally. We've been battling this for a couple of years on what to do, and it's going to be behind the Umpqua Bank over here. But the survey was finished just recently. In fact, if you were here, I think it was last Thursday, we saw an initial presentation of how that's coming along. And a special thanks to Sue Dibble and Kathy Perksina for the fine work they did, and the other people in the committee too. One of the dangers of up here, when I'm up here, is thanking people is forgetting somebody and then they feel bad. So I almost feel like we ought to do all or none, but that doesn't work. More clubs were added. I don't remember the names of all of them. Some of the stuff I'd never heard of. The Burger Ad Hoc Committee was established, and they're well at work trying to figure out what we're going to do with this beast. We fix it up, tear it down, who knows? Anyway, they come up with great ideas. The Agricultural Control Committee, working with the board, came up with a fines policy. In the past, if you didn't follow what the rules were, sort of like, so what? Well, now we have some teeth in the so what, and I think after the word gets out, that maybe we better comply. It's going to work out very well. Efforts are underway to improve the sound in each one of our facilities, including these individual meeting rooms, which can be quite difficult for people with hearing impairment. Well, that's pretty much a wrap on what's been accomplished. At this point, I'm going to turn the microphone over to Cassie, our manager, and then we'll follow that with the auditor's report, a few other things, some thank yous, and we'll be out of here before it gets dark.
High heels on today for a change. Wow, what a year. That's all I could say. That's all I thought to say as my beginning statement. When someone asks me what it's like to be the Oakmont manager, I tell them it must be something like working in an air traffic control tower. Or some days it's like traveling down one of the bobsled runs at the Olympics. It just keeps coming and coming and coming and coming. But I'm not complaining. It certainly isn't dull. And oftentimes it's fun and it's always rewarding. I'd like to thank the board members and Chuck Chenault. They voluntarily chose to be part of a very energetic community and to give some direction as board members. They've done an awful lot of work this year, and I think we should all give them a huge round of applause for their efforts. There were some big ideas that turned into reality this year. One that was a long time coming was a creation of a fine policy for Oakmont. The ad hoc committee that researched this was chaired by Vice President Andy Altman. Many residents were concerned that some of the neighborhoods were deteriorating and something had to be done to stop the deterioration. Other residents were concerned that Oakmont would turn into a Gestapo state if a fine policy was implemented. After many months of discussion, the fine policy was approved and implemented by the Architectural Committee chaired by Mary Ann Neufeld. After the committee inspected all the properties, hundreds of violation letters were sent out, which created quite a stir. among the community, both good and bad. The important result of this new policy is that most people cleared up their violations and very few residents have received fines. I can see a huge difference in the level of property maintenance, and I hope you can too. Another large project that surfaced was the 55 and older age verification. It was gratifying to see that most Oakmonters were willing to come forward with the necessary documentation, so this project took only 4 months to complete. We continue to have residents living here with underage people. That will always be an issue, but I want you to know that OVA will remain vigilant in going after these violations. OVA is continuing to change and grow as a community. The new board, like the old board, will have to wrestle with many different community issues, and they have to explore new possibilities. The Long Range Planning Committee just completed a research survey regarding Oakmont residents. After the board receives the data analysis and key findings from the LRPC, this information will become part of the board's strategic plan. Here are some issues to be discussed by the new board in 2015. What to do with pickleball courts and the Burger Center. I think these are the most important projects in the pipeline this year. What will the new board decide to do about the sports court? Is the current design too ambitious? Should it be redesigned altogether? Or is the sports court a great addition to the OVA recreational facilities? Another important issue is what will the Burger Improvement Committee's final evaluation be regarding what's to be done with the Burger Center? The Oakmont social network is always lit up between these two issues. The drought. An issue that I certainly hadn't thought that as a manager I would ever have to deal with is the water supply. The question is, what should OVA do about watering the large expanse of grass around the Burger and the Greensward? The Press Democrat said yesterday that our region has successfully reduced its per capita water use from 128 gallons to 110 gallons per day, and that the reservoirs have near average water supply levels. Does that mean we should relax about the drought and stick to watering these areas twice a week? Or should the Landscape Improvement Committee, along with the Architectural Committee, investigate changing out the lawn in these two areas to a more drought-tolerant landscaping? Those are huge areas, and even with the Cash for Grass program, the cost to convert those areas will be substantial. Facility usage. A hot-button issue, I believe, that needs to be discussed at some point during the year is the question of outside instructors using Oakmont facilities for their classes for free. They are not contributing anything for the maintenance and upkeep of the facilities. Is that fair? Is that equitable? A case in point. We just remodeled the West Rec. We refinished both floors and will soon be renovating the pool and the spa. Should the instructors who are freely using these facilities and getting paid by Oakmont residents be asked to pay a fee to Oakmont to help pay for the maintenance of these facilities? I don't necessarily have an opinion on the outcome, but I do feel this issue should be further explored by the new board. I believe OVA has greatly increased communication with all of its members. We honored Nancy Caldwell's request at last year's annual meeting to video the board workshops. We launched Coffees with Cassie and the Friday e-blast. A special thanks goes to Harriet Paul in helping me with the e-blast. It's very time consuming, but we get emails of appreciation every week, so I know it's read and we both feel it's well worth the effort. In the next couple of months, an entirely new Oakmont website will be unveiled, with much gratitude going to Dutch Licklider, Gary Pickering, and Jackie Ryan from the Communications Committee for spearheading this project. Jackie has spent most of the last 6 months working on the new site. Her selfless devotion is the only way this major project can get done without costing the association tens of thousands of dollars. Thank goodness she signed up last year to be on the communications committee at the new residence reception. She's recently become the new communications committee chair. We snagged a good one. This year, I also watched the genesis of the Long Range Planning Committee research survey chaired by Lisa Berman. Lisa looked for volunteers to work on the project with her, and Kathy Suksena and Sue Devil stepped up. I'm blown away by the commitment of time, energy, and dedication from these people to see this project through to completion. There are others also who should be mentioned. Let's talk about the library and the commitment and dedication of Ruth Caldwell, Julie Jones, and all the rest of the library volunteers who make it run so smoothly. I hardly ever hear from these people. What would happen if they didn't show up one day? They are so appreciated and yet happy to stay under the radar until now. They have just submitted a request for additional space to the OVA board. That request will become part of the April board agenda. Other Oakmonters have created fun and healthy organizations for enjoyment. There are so many talented people who are willing to put in their time to make Oakmont better. How about Tom and Teresa Woodrum seeing a new need and creating the Oakmont Health Initiative? They have spent an enormous amount of time and energy in creating free health and fitness programs. No one asked them to do this. They just saw a need and they filled it. Now they are creating wonderful events to fundraise for this initiative. We are so lucky to have them. A big thanks also goes to Ray and Marie Haverson for creating Shaboom. They bring in great entertainers for our residents to enjoy. Heidi Klein and Terry Witten have put on fabulous events for the Boomers Club, and those food trucks are a great addition to Oakmont. Also, a thank you goes to Ellen Lesnick. She started a very popular club centered around a great food and wine pairing called the Anacurians. Movies at Oakmont is another fun event. It's a very popular activity. This is done by a small group of volunteers headed by Al Haggerty, and they spend their Sunday afternoons and evenings providing first-run films for free for the enjoyment of everyone. Another group of unsung heroes are the Oakmont tour guides. They spend their weekend hours showing the prospective residents the Oakmont facilities. If any of you from the Oakmont tour guides are here, please stand up. Nancy, I know you're, yes, thank you. In summary, there are too many clubs and organizations to mention every year at the annual meeting and give them their due. We want everyone to know that the committees and organizations are an integral part of what makes Oakmont such a great neighborhood. Every board discusses how to thank all these volunteers properly, but we can't come up with anything that wouldn't cost a fortune because there are hundreds of volunteers. Let's suffice it to say that the committees, clubs, and organizations are all very valued, and we thank all of you for your part in making Oakmont a successful and vibrant community. I am looking forward to another year of fun-filled, action-packed adventures in Oakmont, along with the new board, and I hope all of you are too. Thank you.
Over the years, I've endured comments. John, stand up. I said, I'm already standing up. Thank you. That was an excellent report. I'm going to turn the microphone over to Mr. Ernst, our auditor, CPA, and let him give us the state of the union as it applies to finance.
Thank you very much. First of all, I want to thank Cassie and Kathy and Chuck Chenault and all the staff for all the assistance they provide to us during our annual audit of the association, the Oklahoma Village Association, as well as thanks to Stacy Donnelly at Condominium Financial Management, who provides the accounting services for your organization. Working with all those people has made our job, which can be a daunting job, as easy and as comfortable as possible. Thanks to all of them. My staff, Brett Shrez, who's my audit manager, Julie Harris.
Do you have it closer to the mic?
A little bit closer.
Yes.
My staff, Brett Shrez, the audit manager, and Julie Harris visited the property here at CFM, Condominium Financial Management, at the beginning of February to begin our audit. And we try every year to get it out as soon as possible because we know we have some deadlines to accomplish that. And this next year will probably be out before the end of the year as well to get a head start on it. Brett came back to the OVA offices in February to complete the audit engagement and go over all the financial information. And we did complete our report, and it was finished on February 17th. It was approved by the board and submitted for final on around February 22nd. We still have the tax return to do. That'll be completed before the due date of the tax return, which as a nonprofit organization is May 15th. As a result of our audit, we've issued a report, and that report has one very important statement in there. And after we do all the work and work with management and identify the responsibilities of various parties, we come up with our final opinion. And in that opinion, we say, in our opinion, the financial statements referred to above fairly in all material respects. The financial position of Oakmont Village Association as of December 31st, 2014, and the results of its operation and its cash flows for the year end and ended in conformity with accounting principles generally accepted in the United States of America. We call that a clean opinion, and very pleased to point out that we were not required to make any adjustments to the financial statements for your organization. And that's a rare event to happen. And that's as a result of the hard work from CFM and from Cassie and her staff. We want to thank everybody for the assistance during the course of the engagement. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Ernst. Next order of business is we're getting ready to close the ballot box. So I would suggest that if you're still holding that valuable piece of paper with your choices on it, that you put it in the box now or sooner. Seeing nobody arise to the occasion and walking to the back of the room, I declare that the balloting be closed. At this point, as we do in every meeting, except that we've moved it to a little bit further down the list, I'd like to open the meeting to comments from you folks and any questions. You can use the microphone right there. And again, I didn't set up the lights, but we want to keep it short and keep moving. So when you start to speak, please give your name and address for the record. And let's go.
Hi, my name is Ellen Lesnick. The address is 6584 Stonebridge Road. You can you hear me now? Yes. Okay, I'll start again.
You sound like a cell phone advertisement.
Ellen Lesnick. Address is 6584 Stonebridge Road. Please don't come and visit me all the time now. Dear board members and Cassie, as many others here in Oakmont, I would like to thank you for your time and efforts in the service to our community. The challenges you're presented with are often very difficult, and this year will be no exception. You will be asked to decide on how to spend our limited resources on a variety of projects, both big and small. When making your decisions, please consider the best interests of our entire community. Please study the results of the Long Range Planning Committee survey and use as your guidance Oakmont residents' expressed preferences. To that extent, I, on behalf of many other fellow Oakmonters, would like to request that you abandon the pickleball project. As this survey showed, the pickleball project has few supporters and a very significant opposition. To put it plainly, the overwhelming majority of us are not interested in spending our resources on the construction of new pickleball courts. At the tomorrow's organizational meeting, please do not reappoint the ad hoc pickleball committee. Furthermore, please withdraw the permit application to the city of Santa Rosa and stop any and all further expenditures on pickleball in Oakmont. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. That will be taken up by the new board.
I'm Susan Millar, 373 Greenfield Circle. I'm also chair of the Oakmont Community Development Committee. This morning we had a meeting with Gallagher and McCullough, who are the project managers for the El Noga. We're at the final stretch. Anyone who's lived here for the last few years knows how long we've been working on this. El Noga has asked for an amendment to the general plan regarding the ridge line, and that was not granted by the Planning Commission. They are now making an appeal before the City Council members. Wally Shilp and I have visited almost all of these commissioners and City Council members. We feel that there's a very good workaround without changing the general plan, but Mr. Gallagher is very worried about opponents from other areas coming forth and having comments about ridgeline. He has offered to have a bus here next Tuesday to take a group of Oakmonters down to the City Hall to let the City Council know that we feel this is the best possible solution to the development of the last remaining large piece of property on this side of Santa Rosa. If this project does not go through, we think that Mr. Gallagher will just abandon the plan that we've seen and go back to his original plan for the 9 acres of unage-restricted apartment buildings, and we'll start all over again. So we will contact Mr. Gallagher, take him up on his offer, be down here at 3 o'clock Tuesday afternoon, April 14th, and we'll fill the bus, I hope. It may be even an overflow. I'm sorry, we'll have a few cars going down. But that is what I'm asking for. Is coming up very quickly and not enough time to organize with other means. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Susan. Yes, we encourage people to show up en masse. This is a very important project, very important to Oakmont, and we encourage you to participate.
Nancy Giddings, 126 J.C. Lane. I would like to urge the board to continue to keep an open mind on the pickleball project. I do believe that a scaled-down version is probably much more feasible than the one that was initially proposed. However, I don't agree with the previous speaker that there is little support in Oakmont for new sports courts for pickleball. I think there is significant support, and I hope that you will not abandon this project and continue to research it and hopefully come to the same conclusion that I and many other people have. They are necessary. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, sir?
Tom Kendrick, new president of the Pickleball Club. The most controversial club in Oakmont. Very proud of that. I got 80 emails in my first 2 days.
Microphone.
So that's probably nothing for you guys.
Microphone.
Sorry. My background is of the skipper of a boat, so I made a decision and that was that. So I'm learning to work with others now. My first request as the new president was for a firing squad. It was denied. I play pickleball and tennis. I'm a member of both clubs, so I have the unique opportunity to be despised by everyone. Just kidding. Actually, we're getting along these days very well with the tennis club, and we really are coming together. They've decided, I guess, we're not going away. And we are a noisy, rambunctious bunch of troublemakers, but we refuse to let go of our youth, and we're trying to have a lot of fun and get some exercise out there. Just wanted to say hi. I live at 388 Ribbon Rock Way. We do have sensors and cameras and security systems in place. Okay, so that's about it. Just wanted to say hi. Yay, pickleball.
Thank you. You said skipper of a boat. Is this like a submarine boat? Above the surface boat. Okay. Thank you. I got that cleared up.
Good afternoon. My name is Derry Evans, and I live at 27 Oak Forest Place. First of all, I'd like to thank the board and all the committees for all the work that they have done. I lived in Sonoma for 20 years, always passed Oakmont, never even thought about coming to Oakmont, but 9 years ago I made the plunge at the top of the market, unfortunately. What I would like to say to the board and to those who are consider these projects, it would be very good, I think, if one could use your common sense. For example, all the things that went on about, where the offices are going to be. Now they're going back ultimately where they once were. That should have been, I think, thought about well before. Secondly, pickleball. I don't know what pickleball is, but I think if they want pickleball, fine. But why not try to work out with the tennis committee, particularly the gentleman here, the commander of the ship, who seems to be in both places. Why not, be very careful and see if you can't work out an accommodation. One of the great things, I'm not a golfer, I live now in Oakmont. You have 2 wonderful golf courses, a lot of people, beautiful things that are there. They probably have a lot of issues, but that seems to me to be really fundamental to why a lot of people come to this beautiful Sonoma Valley and come to Oakmont. So I suggest that money should be very carefully watched. There are a lot of people in this community who probably live on fixed incomes, and one needs to be very careful about that. We also have a natural, the Annandale Park, and there was some discussion, I believe, about whether a bridge should be there or not. Well, somehow, that wouldn't take a lot of money, it seems to me. And maybe you have to work these Santa Rosa councils. But find a way so that that park is an easy access to all of the people in this community. It makes a lot of good sense to do that, in my judgment, right? And all I also want to say really is that I think that, space, there's so little left. Frankly, I'm very disappointed personally about the new development that we now see at the ceremonial entrance of Oakmont. We have little boxes now, California boxes, next to each other in what was a lovely open space. There's probably not much left, but whatever is left, try to leave it open. And when you come to doing something with this facility, if it's structurally sound, work it through somehow. Upgrade what you need, but don't tear it down and then probably call for another, whatever it is, a call for money. I bet the last call, I don't want to do the next one. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Schilt?
Wally Schultz, 252 Bellhaven Court. First of all, I also want to thank the board and all of the other volunteers in Oakmont who help our wonderful staff run this place. And if you pay any attention to it, it's a tough job. But I want to remind both the board and our residents, I'm not a pickleball player. I will probably never be a pickleball player. But you have to keep in mind that if we had to have a massive agreement on doing anything here in Oakmont, we would have nothing. You look at the lawn bowlers, the bocce club, the tennis courts, a very small percentage of Oakmonters use each of these facilities. But if we didn't have them, we wouldn't have anything. And that's what we're here for, is recreational facilities. If we can find enough people that want to do something new, you damn well better build it. Otherwise, people will not come. And you have to keep that in mind. You will never get a large amount of people in favor of anything if they don't do it. And I tell people, I'm one of the volunteer drivers that takes people around who are thinking of buying in Oakmont. And I remind them this is an active community. An active community, not a bunch of people waiting to die. And you have to be active. If you're going to be active, you have to have places to be active at. And pickleball is probably as good as they get, and we'll have as many people or more than some of our long-lasting facilities. And finally, just a comment to the gentleman that spoke before me. The area that is being built right now at our entrance was not open space. It was owned by a developer who signed a contract with Oakmont many years ago to eventually add that as the last piece of Oakmont. We may not be particularly happy with the design of his houses or how close together they are, but it was not open space, and Oakmont had no way to keep it that way because they didn't own it. So before you comment on something like that, you better make sure you know what you're talking about.
Thank you.
I would like to answer that if I may. I thank you for the education. I didn't realize that. But if Oakmont had any muscle of any kind, hopefully they might have had something to do with the developer and the kind of development that particular developer was going to make right at the entrance, which is ceremonial, of Oakmont. But thank you for the education. It's there. We live with it now. And I hope that people also get involved with the various groups that we have, because if we ever had an emergency here, I don't know how anyone's going to get in or out of Highway 12. We'll all end up at the golf course, I'm sure. That was really not so bad, I guess. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. With that, we'll end the forum and move on to what's very important to all of us. I'm going to turn the microphone over to Andy Altman, our Vice President. And I'd like to say a special thank you to Andy. She has been a huge help to me. I have more on my plate than I could ever handle. And with Andy's help and others on the board, I wish to thank her and the others too for the tremendous help that they've given me and thus to you.
Thank you, John. Without volunteers, this community would be dramatically different. We've heard that today, and we've seen that over and over the 49 years that 50 years Oakmont's been around. Perhaps Oakmont would even be considered ordinary without volunteers. And the volunteer pool here in Oakmont is astounding. And this year, I've been given incredible honor of introducing a most outstanding person in our community and our Oakmont Volunteer of the Year. This year's recipient is one of the busiest volunteers in Oakmont. To list the committees, groups, and clubs in which this recipient participates is impressive alone, but to understand the cumulative impact of her work within the community and these committees and groups allows you to see the special person that she is and what she means to our community. Most everyone sees Oakmont as a lovely community. Cassie alluded to it earlier, we've had incredible improvement in property maintenance and the look and appeal of Oakmont over the last year or two. The well-kept properties, facilities, and common areas are a perfect example. Excuse me. For many years, no one here has worked harder or meant more to helping ensure that Oakmont remains an attractive community. Our recipients' tireless efforts and outreach have helped hundreds of homeowners improve their properties while meeting or exceeding our standards and guidelines. While taking brief breaks from the managerial, legal, and negotiator roles as chair of the Architectural Committee, she contributes her energy to the Landscape Improvement Committee, where the smile-inducing color and variety of plantings and planters at the East Rec and the succulent garden thrive under her green thumb. And then somewhere in between all of these activities, our award recipient finds the time to lead the Oakmont Volunteer Helpers, a vibrant group of volunteers who coordinate and provide transportation and other services to Oakmonters needing this assistance. Oh, and the Grandparents Club. On Saturday, watching about 117 children and a few hundred more parents and grandparents play, hug, smile, and laugh out here, another one of our recipients' passions and year-long efforts was seen through. It was brilliantly clear what a wonderful volunteer we have in Mary Ann Neufeld and what a positive impact she has on Oakmont. Please help me in recognizing the 2015 Volunteer of the Year, Mary Ann Neufeld.
Thanks, everybody. You know, this probably should go to many other people. And all the places I work and the clubs that I'm in, it's all those volunteers that make me look good. I don't do it by myself. Saturday we had 25 volunteers out there laying eggs and helping the kids, and Sandy saw it. Yeah. It literally laying eggs, yeah. Anyway, thank you so much. I'm very appreciative.
You know, I think we have something like 400 volunteers that we couldn't do without. And it's hard to thank everybody, but this year we have another special award, the Community Appreciation Award. It's given to someone who's done some things behind the scenes that were extremely important and that should not go unrecognized. For many years, Al Thomas headed up the OEPC, and he got to the point where he also does taxes and all this other stuff, and he was getting a little bit tired of all that. And Pat Barkley stood up and said, I'll give you a hand, and he took over this year. I want to thank both of them. But Pat did some other things too. We had quite a bit of a problem with the sound systems here. Are they perfect yet? No, we're still working on it and do things, but so significant progress made under his direction and counsel. The OEPC, a few months ago, we went through a terrible upheaval due to our litigious society. We found out that the way we were operating opened us up to some pretty serious liability. In the case of an emergency, we had what I would call a medical arm that we worked with, doctors that took over that. And other areas of transportation and this and that. COPE is all tied together, and we were trying to make a special effort to integrate that. When this bomb got dropped on us in the 70s, we couldn't keep doing things the way we were doing. Pat went out and did a lot of research. It turns out that the Red Cross, under their conditions, which were quite agreeable to us for the most part, would come in here and use our facility. We would provide this facility. They would provide the training and other necessary contributions to help not only Oakmont, but our local community in the case of an emergency. I'm happy to say that that contract has been signed, and we're just waiting for them to come back with a finalization on it. But the area communications and all the other things have been put into place. The city's required some changes in the way they structure the path of communications when it leaves here. What used to be called incident command structure shifted over more directly to the city. And Pat's been working very hard with others in the group, to Mike Noble, for example, to integrate the communications portion. And then there's the matter of the Computer Learning Center, which has been around for a while, but it maintains a requirement of having people there to help out and teach and make sure the equipment's working and look at overall systems. And whenever we've needed him, Pat has stepped up to the plate. He comes, I won't embarrass him by going back over his previous history, his previous life before Oakmont, but he brings some tremendous leadership skills and experience to us that's just absolutely invaluable. So I'd like you to step up here for a moment and get this over with for you. I'd like to give you this token of our appreciation for all that you've done for the community.
I'm not going to try. As has already been said, committees are full of volunteers. I've been blessed with having a lot of very strong, willing, able-sided, motivated volunteers. So I'm very honored to accept it. I'll accept it on all their behalf. I do want to recognize two people since we're talking about the Emergency Preparedness Committee and the Red Cross. First, Al Thomas, as was said, Al had actually led the OAPC for 15 years. 15, okay, 16, right? And you're honoring me after 1 year? There's something wrong with this scenario. And there's another individual who's been involved for 15 years, and I believe I saw her in the back of the room unless she left, and that was Sue Hattendorf. Sue, are you still here? Sue, could you stand up, please?
She just left.
She just left? That was great timing. All right. Lastly, I don't want to take too long, but I do want to acknowledge, so we have 7 board members. Of those, 3 board members I want to recognize because, guess what? The board, in addition to their duties, are also helpful to the OAPC. Frank Batchelor, for one. Frank, if it wasn't for your support, I'm not sure we would have gone through this whole exercise successfully, especially getting the Red Cross in place and getting a new charter for the OAPC. I want to thank you. And people may not realize, we have 2 members on the board that are instrumental parts of the Emergency Preparedness Committee. Andy Altman is actually our coordinator for East Oakmont, in addition to everything else that she does. I don't know how you find time, Andy, but thank you. And John Felton, our president, is one of the senior members of our radio communications activity. John. Thank you very much. I don't appreciate it. I don't deserve this. Thanks, John.
I'm generally not argumentative, but he does deserve it. Oh, what happened to my nose? Does anybody have anything else to add at this point? Well, it's interesting. I tried to keep it short. I looked at the video from last year. It ran for 49 minutes. We ran over. Aren't you glad we didn't do extra stuff? At this point, I'm going to call the recess until tomorrow at 9 o'clock. The ballot counting will begin at the West Recreation Center upstairs. You're welcome to stop by and visit quietly. And at 2 o'clock, we're going to reconvene this meeting. And at that time, we'll find out who our candidates are for the board, the new elected board members. And also, we're going to have, that'll be followed with an organizational meeting where the new officers will be elected. So on that, I call this meeting in recess. Thank you.